Hello, and how are you? Welcome to our session on gender mainstreaming continuum. My name is Winnie Barra. If you're new, this is a channel on lectures, contents, and even sessions pertaining to healthcare. We host also interviews from experts who have a good experience in healthcare. And if this is your area of interest, kindly remember to give us a subscription, be part of these sessions, watch all the way to the end, and give us a comment on our feel of how you feel the sessions are. So today I want to look at the continuum that pertains to gender mainstreaming for the different parts or levels that are termed as gender mainstreaming or shows the levels of growth in gender mainstreaming. So the gender mainstreaming continuum by introduction is a tool that designers and implementers use to help in planning on how to integrate gender into their programs and also policies. So what happened is this is a tool that we can use to help us evaluate our aspects of integration of gender into our different programs and policies, but it's also an important tool that helps us to integrate gender approaches in our activities. So it relates to integration of gendered approaches in projects and activities. It's being said that under no circumstances should project or activities adopt an exploitative approach because the fundamentals of development is that we should not do harm. Do not do harm. So with gender mainstreaming, it's part of promoting this principle of do not harm. That even as we go through this project or go implement these activities, it is our responsibility to not do harm. The development should be progressive, they should be transformative, and they should be gender aware. So this gender mainstreaming continuum being a tool, it is very important that designers, implementers, project managers can actually use to help them plan, integrate gender perspective and aspects into the different activities and projects by integrating the gender perspectives. And with this in mind, then it means in all our levels of activities, then we can avoid exploitation and promoting the principles of do not harm. So I hope that makes it easier to understand. So moving what forward, the continuum is all about. The continuum has several components. So there's about gender awareness, gender blindness, and then there's exploitative, accommodating, and gender transformative. So with this expected is that the gender continuum therefore will be moving from one level to the other. If you look at this, it has like a movement that at first you're gender blind, that is, do not consider anything pertaining to gender when it comes to your project. So you're implementing this project and you're not listening or checking around anything pertaining to gender and trying to consider their needs or their perspective. And then the next time is you become gender aware. You try to incorporate and understand that genders are a bit different. They all have different needs. They all have different perspectives and necessities. But now, the danger of being gender aware is that sometimes we can generate projects that are gender exploitative. So what happens is we are advised that our projects should work around becoming gender transformative as opposed to being exploitative and accommodative. So a gender exploitative project is a project that exploits the rights and privileges of a given gender to their own benefit without looking at the effect, be it negative or positive. While a gender accommodative project, this is a project that has considered the genders but is not eliminating the disadvantages, is not eliminating the negative that are existing. They're basically working with the status quo for the purpose of meeting the objectives of their project. That's the difference. But a gender transformative approach, this is a gender mainstreaming that is happening, but it is looking at the different aspects of gender needs, is looking at the different aspects of the gender necessities, and considering that the outcomes can be affected by the different aspects that are in play for the involved genders. So the overall objectives of gender integration or the gender mainstreaming continuum is to move towards gender transformative programs and policies where we are gradually challenging the existing gender inequities and promoting positive changes in our gender roles, in our gender norms, and even the power dynamics. So the gender continuum is a tool that explores and tries to explain how gender perspective can be incorporated by eliminating gender blindness, working around gender awareness to have a gender transformative approaches or project. And this is avoiding exploitations and practicing well-balanced accommodation without casting a blind eye to discriminative norms or discriminative roles in our communities, because our target is to ensure that our projects are gender transformative as opposed to just being accommodative and exploitative. So with this is simply the journey of how the gender mainstreaming continuum moves, where we start at the gender blindness, whereby at gender blind, we ignore the different economic, social, and political roles, rights, entitlements, responsibilities, obligations, associations that comes with being men or women. And so there's a lot of ignorance also around power dynamics between and among men and women, boys and girls. So this is a stage where we do not give a focus, or we are not trying to evaluate these different needs that are in existence, be it economically, be it socially, be it political or culturally. However, with development of gender awareness, then we start to examine and address the different gender consideration, and so we adopt an approach along the continuum. So once gender awareness has been achieved, or you have become aware of the different needs and priorities pertaining to the genders, then you can pick a gender continuum. And then the continuum now can be along the three continents, where you can either be exploitative, accommodative, or transformative. Remember, the goal is to be gender transformative, not to be exploitative or accommodative. Accommodative is a bit good, but not as more impactful as compared to being gender transformative. So let's start at the continuum of exploitative. So we are being told that a gender exploitative continuum tries to look at aspects like what is the current vision statement in terms of advantages of the unbalanced gender norms, roles, or relations. It tries to look at what are the privileges existing between men and women, boys and girls, and then uses that to create opportunities that chances are going to promote the exploitation in these genders rather instead of eliminating them. So exploitative does not provide solutions. It basically takes advantage of the existing discriminations, the existing imbalances, the existing gender norms that do not favor the affected gender at that particular time. However, when it comes to accommodating continuum or accommodation, is that it looks at the current statement and works around the gender differences and inequalities, not really to change them, but to assist in creation of this project in meeting its goals. So let's say you come to a community, you realize that there's a lot of women who are fetching water from the river, and instead of providing a solution like trying to build water pumps or water access points, you literally try to work more with the river, which is more of like accommodating the needs that are there, but you don't provide easier solutions to them. And the last bit is on gender transformative. So in gender transformative, we apply a more critical examination of the norms and the dynamics that are in that particular society or communities. And so we work on strengthening systems that are going to support gender equality. We do not accommodate, we do not exploit. What we do is we come up with more critical approaches that can create systems that are going to support gender equality. So if you find that more women spend a lot of time looking for water from rivers or access points, then as a person who is gender transformative, tries to come with solutions that can create easily accessible water points that more preferably could be near homesteads or can be accessed within the homesteads, than allowing women to spend or to walk long distances going to fetch this water. So the transformative continuum works around changing the inequitable gender norms and dynamics and providing a platform for gender equality. So the goal of the gender mainstreaming continuum is to be gender transformative with the end goal of having gender equality and better development outcomes. So I hope you can see how this continuum flows. So we have the gender blind, where we are not looking at anything that is transformative. We just ignore any imbalances that are at play in our society. Then with time, we become gender aware, and so we start examining the different gender considerations and needs, and this allows us now to pick a gender continuum, which could either be exploitative, accommodating, or transformative. But I wish you to know that the purpose of gender mainstreaming continuum is to ensure that policies and projects are gender transformative. That is, they're working around eliminating the inequitable gender norms and dynamics, and they're working towards achievement of gender equality and better development of outcomes. So moving forward, we've seen how the continuum has three parts or three areas. That is, could be exploitative, it could be accommodating, or it could be transformative. So now when we are assessing programs and policies, there's a criteria to give a statement in terms of scaling if the project is gender responsive, if the project is gender transformative, and so on. So for projects that are mostly on the gender blindness, more so they're at level 1, where we talk about gender unequal. So when we have a program that is gender unequal, most of the time we say this is a program that perpetuates gender inequality by reinforcing the unbalanced norms, roles, and relations. And most so it tends to privilege the men over women and vice versa. It favors the gender based on whatever is already working for them, based on the gender privileges and rights. So oftenly, the gender unequal programs or policies, they lead to one sex enjoying more rights or opportunities than the other. So there's an inequality there. Or rather, there's a gender blindness that is at play, and the community is gender unaware, and in this case, they're just reinforcing what is already in existence. For example, communities that practice female genital mutilation. Of course, it's hazardous to the women and it is harmful to the women, but there's some privileges that men get over this practice. And for this, projects that are gender unequal, they will tend to re-emphasize or perpetuate more of these practices than eliminating them. And the second level is gender blind, where we are saying this is a project that ignores all the gender norms, roles, and relations, and more so they reinforce majority of the gender-based discriminations. So they reinforce the discriminatory practices, they reinforce the practices that alienate the genders against each other. So it ignores the differences that are at play both in opportunities and resource allocation between men and women. It oftenly constructed on the principles of being fair by treating everyone the same without considering any opportunities available, without considering any resources that should be properly allocated based on the needs, roles, norms, and relations that are at play. So that is level 2, where we say the project is gender blind. In level 3, where we are saying the project is gender sensitive, this is a project that has become gender aware. It is considering gender norms, roles, and relations. And so what it does though, it does not address the inequalities generated by the unequal norms, roles, and relations. What it does, it indicates gender awareness. However, there is no remedial action developed. So I want you to see the difference. With a gender unequal project, nothing is in play here. We just favor whoever is already favored and we work with that. With a gender blind, we ignore whatever is there and we work with the discrimination and we re-emphasize it. But in a gender sensitive project, it has considered the norms, the roles, and the relationship, but we are not going to address any of these problems. We are just aware about it, but we are not doing anything about it. We're not putting remedial actions. We are not putting actions in place to eliminate. The only thing is that it has acknowledged that there's some roles and differentials in this particular setup, but there's no solutions being put into place. So moving forward, we get now to level 4, where we talk about the gender responsive programs and policies. So with the gender responsive programs and policies, these are programs and policies that are considerate of the gender norms. They have become considerate of the roles and relations that women and how it affects them in terms of how they're able to access and even control the resources. So it considers more so the women and men specific needs with the intentions that they want to see the targets and the benefits that a specific group of women or men do achieve. So this gender responsive project, they want to see the benefits, they want to see the targets, they want to see how this certain policy or program meets the needs of this particular gender. And so to fulfill the given duties, gender responsive reacts, or rather it works together to come up with targets, to come up with benefits, to come up with intentions or interventions that can help meet the needs of these affected genders. So it does not eliminate or it does not segregate one gender from the other. It basically works to see their specific needs, it works to see their key problems and what are their necessities, and then comes in to see how can we make it easier for the men and women to fulfill their duties based on their gender roles, norms, and relations. So it in a way now comes in to introduce a solutions that can ensure that the policy is gender responsive or the policy is responding to the needs and issues affecting the genders, either men or women. And the last level is what we call gender transformative, which is the highest level. And with gender transformative, it has achieved good awareness here. So it has considered gender norms and roles and relations for both men and women and how this is able to affect access and control over resources. It is actively considering the women and men specific needs, and it is trying to address now the causes of the gender-based health inequalities or iniquities. It is coming up with new ways to transform the harmful norms, roles, and relations. So the transformative comes with solutions that are able to transform these harmful gender roles and relations. So the objectives of gender transformative is normally to promote gender equality. It is also there to bring in new strategies that can foster progress in terms of relationship between men and women. So this assessment or criteria for assessing the policies has 3 levels, all the way from level 1 to level 5. And you can see how it's moving from being gender unequal, moving upwards to becoming gender responsive, all the way to attaining the highest level of gender transformative. So when you are assessing the program and policies, you can apply part of these criteria by looking at how considerate are they to the gender norms and roles and their relationship between men and women. You are able to see how considerate is it in terms of women and men specific needs. Is it eliminating the gender inequalities? Is it promoting gender equity? Is it promoting progress and creating a power balance between men and women in the community? So that marks the end of our session on gender mainstreaming continuum, where we saw that it has different aspects, and that is from gender blindness to gender awareness. And we have a continuum there that includes exploitative, accommodative, and transformative. And when you're looking at the gender assessment criteria, we're able to have the different levels from level 1 of gender unequal project to moving to gender blind, gender aware, and we get to have the aspect of now gender transformative, which is our highest attainment. And so that was all about it today. And if you really enjoyed these lessons, please don't forget to subscribe and share with your networks. Comment and give us a like on our videos. Thank you so much. Until we meet again in our next class. Bye bye.